Joining me today, I've got Erica. Erica and I last chatted properly in 2021 on my podcast, where you'd run your business for about a year and a half. You started in December 2022. December 2019. And now you're back and you've got a lot of things that's going on. So I'm quite excited to kind of chat to you at this stage in your entrepreneurial journey. You've grown from leaps and bounds since we last spoke. So I'm really excited to just speak raw, chat, and to see what we can do to add value to everyone that's listening today.
I can't believe it's been that long. That's crazy. It's since we last.
Yeah, it's been a while. So let's kind of dive straight in. I know recently you kind of pivoted the way in which you're running Brodo with kind of your products and kind of checking them out. Talk to me, I guess, a little bit about what spurred that on and how you then used your story to market more organically with what you're doing.
Mhm. So I built my company direct to consumer. Like I think when we spoke, I was, middle pandemic, picking and packing orders from my living room, built out my whole business direct to consumer. And people would come to me, they found my product, like tubs of edible cookie dough, added protein, cleaner ingredients. And it did really well on that channel. And I decided, okay, the world's opening back up in 2022. People are starting to go grocery shopping again. I should start selling in retail. And retail is a completely different ballgame than D2C. And you have to have like your pricing dialed in, your packaging, the serving size, the ingredients, everything. There's a lot that goes into it. So I thought, okay, let's, make some improvements to the product, launch it into stores, test it out in like 100 stores, see how it does. And I spent a lot of time doing demos. So I was going in, getting customer feedback Friday nights, Saturdays, like, do you like it? What do you not like about it? What do you wish was different? Collecting a bunch of data, sent out hundreds of surveys, got lots of feedback. And I realized that the product just wasn't working the way that it was formatted in retail. It was too big. There are some ingredients in there that a lot of customers didn't want to see. Some retailers didn't like some of the ingredients in there, and it kind of prevented us from further growing and distributing more into these health food chains. And then it wasn't merchandised in the right side of the store oftentimes because it was with like Pillsbury and the other cookie doughs, but it was like a healthy cookie dough. So it kind of didn't really fit in anywhere. So I decided, okay, I'm going to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward. And for the past 6 months, like we haven't really been selling product. I've just been fixing everything. And last week, I actually delivered our first PO to our distributor of the new product. And they're single serve, it's gluten-free, super clean ingredients. It's like a functional bar, I guess, and it's going to be merchandised in that part of the store. So it's not as confusing. And this is what the customers wanted. This is what my customers like really valued for a product in retail on shelf. And so throughout that whole journey, I kind of documented that and, didn't hide that failure. I just openly talked about it and how different it is selling online versus retail. Like they're completely different worlds.
Yeah.
So it's been a learning experience for me. And, if something's not working, you have to fix it. You can't just keep running with something that is broken, right? And you have to slow down sometimes, reassess things, fix things, and then it gives you the ability to move forward a lot quicker.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, well, first of all, thank you for sharing. I think a lot of people kind of want to hide those experiences, and you're obviously out there being able to share very authentically with what's going on. Now, when it comes to revamping the product and doing things again, a lot of people would have just kind of not done anything on social media for 6 months and then kind of come back. Whereas you obviously have been posting, sharing, and kind of going throughout that. So I think for a lot of people that will watch this, I think one of the major challenges they have is that they don't feel the product's ready yet, and they don't want to market unless it's like finished. So how do you intertwine kind of what you do organically? Because I know you've only spent like $1,500, if that, on ads. So how do you really use what you're going through to still actively market and connect with the audience that you want to serve?
Yeah, a lot of people think of it in an ROI perspective and they think, okay, well, if I'm putting out this content, what's the ROI? Oh, I'm not getting anything because people can't buy, right? It's never too early to start putting out content. And I personally think that building your business on your personal brand is a huge asset. And it's a huge way to win your audience over and stand apart from your competitors. And you can start doing that at any time. You don't need to wait till everything's perfect and ready to go. Like, collect emails, get people excited, build the FOMO, make people become a fan and love what you're doing. And they'll be there, they'll be supporting you. And then when it comes time to launching your product, you don't have an empty room. You have a room full of people who are supporting you and wanting to purchase from you, because marketing is really tough and it's really expensive. And I think building out that audience first and then having a really awesome product to sell to them, like, that's the way to go about it. It's hard to do it the other way around. Like, you spend all this money, all this time, all this energy building a really great business, really great product, and then no one buys it. And then it's really hard for you to, I mean, it's not, because it is possible to build an organic following, but the sooner you do it, the better. And even with community building, people think that they can just buy community, and you can't. That's something you can't buy. You can buy customers, you can get people on your website, you can generate brand awareness with dollars, but to really build a solid community that are going to stick with your brand, you have to put in the work, and it does require like a little bit of elbow grease and delayed gratification, right? Like, you have to think in the long run of things, and like, what value can you add to the people following you?
Hmm. And one of the things that I noticed is you're active on a lot of different platforms. So you were obviously very successful to begin with on TikTok, and I know that's kind of where you blew up. And I think you got just under 200,000 followers now. So when did you decide to start looking into other platforms, and how do you manage to know where to focus with everything? Like, do you plan it all in advance? Are you using a lot of the AI tools now? Are you shunning AI and just doing it yourself? Like, how are you managing it so far?
Yeah, AI is an interesting. I think AI is a tool. It can't replace everything. Nothing beats like a personable human experience, customer experience. But with social media, so there's like tons of platforms, and people come to me and they're like, I want to be on Twitter, I want to be on Instagram, I want to be on Facebook. I'm like, can you realistically do all of those things well at once? No, they're all different. They all have their own algorithms, they have their own audiences. So, like, I figure out, okay, where is my audience spending the most time? They're not really on Facebook that much. So, that's something that I just connected to Instagram. Whatever gets posted on Instagram gets posted to Facebook. So, it's not being totally neglected, but I'm not spending all my time on there. Instagram has just been a really great, like, that was my first platform that I ever started posting on. I didn't use anything else really. Like, I kind of used Facebook because it was connected. I didn't use TikTok. I didn't use LinkedIn. I didn't know anything about LinkedIn in 2019 when I launched. And So I started building community on Instagram, and I got really good at it. And I was, engaging with people. And then I thought, okay, now let's use a scheduling tool. So I'll schedule all my content like a few weeks in advance. So just like automating as much as I can. And then time blocking. I'll set aside like half an hour every evening, and I'll message some customers. I'll go on my stories. Like, I just have to actively be engaged with this platform to build it, because you can't just post stuff, like, set and forget, and then not ever like engage, because that's not how you build a community. So I did that, I mastered that, and then I thought, okay, well, what other platforms? And I did get on LinkedIn, but for other purposes for my business. I needed mentorship, I needed help growing, I needed connections, I needed to find manufacturer. So that was another thing that I did. But with TikTok, it was kind of the same thing. I was like, okay, I kind of mastered Instagram, and I was spending a lot of time there at first. And I thought, okay, I have a little bit more time, I'm going to go on TikTok. And again, it's just applying the same strategy, time blocking, making content, scheduling content, and not trying to be everywhere. Like, I thought about Twitter, and I did try it for a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have the bandwidth for this. I'm one
Yeah.
person. I'm doing great with what I have. Maybe one day, like, I can tap into that. But for now, I'm not. So I think just like not spreading yourself too thin is key.
Hmm. And I know a lot of content creators speak about the waterfall. So, whereby you have like one long piece of content and then you kind of break it down into mini chunks. Now, is that something that you do, or do you prefer just having kind of mini pieces of content and then you repurpose them for then LinkedIn or for other platforms as well? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people do that specifically with Twitter threads. Like, that's like a huge thing. And I have actually done that through like LinkedIn carousels. Like, I've taken longer posts. I think I've done a couple carousels, and then you just break it down into more digestible content. And then same with videos. Like, I take tons of video content and then just kind of chop it up and make it into multiple pieces of content. So I think that's very helpful. Um, But again, every platform has different types of content that you put out, right? Like Instagram, like carousels, static posts, reels, and also figuring out like what type of content to deliver for your audience. Like what does your like following want to see? I think that ties into like your strategy as well.
Hmm. And when you're looking to kind of expand, you obviously started on Instagram, went to TikTok, and now I know you're quite active, very much on LinkedIn. Which platforms are you focusing on now moving forward in order to keep growing organically? Or are you kind of leaving some, focusing on others? How are you managing it so far?
Yeah, so I pulled back, and this is like kind of interesting. So TikTok has changed a little bit over the past year or two. They're really pushing sponsored posts now. So your ability to get reach organically, like that, that number has gone down drastically. Because if you go on the For You page and you're scrolling, like 5 out of 10 videos are paid posts. So you only have 5 spaces, right, available for you to get reach on. And then recently, the Canadian government implemented Bill C-11, and that's like another thing that's kind of like making Canadian creators struggle a little bit to get visibility. But so that's another thing. And the problem that I had is I have a product right now. The product that I have, I can't sell to the US, and all of my content on TikTok was reaching Americans. So I'm putting out all
Mm,
this content, and it's very frustrating for me and them because they want to buy and they can't. And I was still, like the call to action was sign up to our wait list, right? So I am still collecting emails. There is value in that and putting out content. But I'm thinking, okay, like I have that following, but I can't keep spending time putting out content on this platform when it's not benefiting me right now. There's other ways that I should go about building community, and like I should be spending time on different platforms. So LinkedIn has been a huge priority for me. Mainly because it's really great for community building. And then on top of that, it's just there's so many resources in there and so many people in there that can help accelerate the growth of my business. I've found investors in there, employers, my employee through their advisors, retailers have listed me because they're connected with me in there. And there's so much value in LinkedIn, and I wish people took advantage of it because it's totally underutilized by so many founders. And then Instagram has been a huge focus for us just because it's the place where you go and you engage with your followers and they have an identity. Whereas on TikTok, it's like user 68313 commented you suck on your video. And
yeah.
you're like, wait a minute, who is this person? And they have like a picture of like a hockey puck on their profile and no videos. And you have no idea where this person lives, who they are, what
Mm,
they like. Whereas Instagram, it's like, oh, Bethany commented on my post and was like, I wish they had this where I live. And you go to her profile and you realize, oh, she lives in Nova Scotia. Um, so I think there's more value in housing your community on a platform like Instagram, just because there's who you're talking to. You can message your customers directly. You can do things like send videos, voice notes, um, and yeah, just engage with your followers.
yeah. And when you're looking into, I guess, utilizing LinkedIn more and more for your content and moving things forward, yeah, I was having a little peruse of kind of what you say and how you say it. I noticed there's a lot of story form, a lot of when I began my business, this happened. Is there a certain structure that you feel is working pretty well now on LinkedIn and things that you want to leverage?
LinkedIn, I think yeah, it's just really storytelling and being audience. And also, whenever I put out content, I ask myself, okay, is this going to add value? Is this going to help someone? Is this, gonna like the whole thing? And the whole reason why I started posting on LinkedIn regularly back in 2020 was because I felt like I had no one that I could relate to on the platform. Everyone was posting about, fundraising and hiring, like growing their team to 50 employees and hitting X amount top line revenue, and they're profitable. And here I am making dough at midnight in a kitchen and storing it in my car. Like I felt like I was doing everything wrong and it felt weird. I didn't think that
Yeah.
I was meant for entrepreneurship because, I'm like, who does this? This is crazy. Uh, so I just started posting everything and like pulling the curtain back, and they call it quote unquote building in public, right? And I think having the story and being okay with being vulnerable and showing what it's really like goes a long way. And it resonates with people because a lot of people aren't comfortable sharing it. So, for example, even like we were talking about the pivot, and I could have gone ghost mode the past 6 months as we were building out this new product, but I decided, okay, I'm going to still post about it and document the journey. And it'll also help people too. Like the majority of the people who follow me are founders and they're in CPG. And anything that I go through, any learnings that I have, any mistakes that I make, I share it. And I'm like, you know what? I did this, it didn't work, and here's why you shouldn't do it. Like don't make
Yeah.
the mistake that I made. And that's helped me too. I listen to podcasts and I hear stories from different founders, and it's like, oh yeah, I accidentally ordered way too much packaging. Like only order what you need, or like just like little things that can make or break a business just by having that one tiny piece of information. It can really help. So I think people also are doing a disservice if they're not putting out their learnings on social media to help others.
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting way in which you phrase it. Like, is this really going to add value to the community that I'm in? And am I going to really be able to move things forward? Now, how do you manage it when you are running, obviously, a few different things, as in you've got Brodo, but then you're also doing kind of marketing with TikTok and things like that. Do you ever think, do I have to manage both of them? Do you feel like you're just kind of your brand and whatever comes to mind, you're just going to share? How do you manage that? Because I think some people, when they feel like they're doing multiple things, they may be unsure what to share. How do you manage that?
hmm Yeah, I do a lot. I am dialing it back and really focusing on Brodo. Like 90% of my time does go to Brodo. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just tying it all together because I am, I'm Erica, and a lot of people affiliate Brodo with Erica. And my whole life is kind of like, me building Brodo, but then there's also other pieces of me too. Like, your personal brand, right? Like you're not just your business, you're more than your business. Like what are your hobbies? What are your interests? What makes you happy? What do you do outside of business for fun? And it all ties together. It's all intertwined. And I think sometimes people get so fixated on separating the two. It's like, this is who I am, this is me, and then this is the business, and they're different. Or my role is CEO in the company, and that is it. And it's very buttoned up. Whereas I'm more like, unbuttoned and kind of just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And you can follow me if you want to see the highs and the lows and the in-betweens. And I'm basically just like living my life and trying to build this thing. Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to share stuff that's not totally business related either, because people get to know you and trust you. And
Mm.
um, yeah, I get to know you as a person and as a founder.
Nice. So when it comes to these different platforms, there's obviously a lot going on. One of the things that literally was recently, I think it was released yesterday, was about threads being Instagram's new Twitter and things like that. Is that something that you're going to pay any attention to, or do you feel like you're just going to be doubling down on LinkedIn? That's where it's working. Like, do you experiment with those kind of new platforms, or you just keep focused on the ones that are working now?
I downloaded it and I looked at it a little bit. But again, it comes down to you need to be very consistent with platforms. And I think sometimes, again, people get excited and they start like posting a ton of content, and then they run out of content, and then they don't post for months, and then they come back to it, and then they start posting again. And that's not how it works. Right. So I think for now, like I'll download it and I'll study it. And, it has Be Real. Like, Be Real is, like, another one that kind of came and went. Clubhouse
Mm.
came and went, like, all these platforms. So I'd be curious to see how it does and what type of conversion there is of people from Instagram actually going and signing up and using it regularly. Because a lot of people do love Twitter and they use Twitter regularly, and I'm curious to see if a lot of Twitter users will convert over to Thread as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one to watch and explore, because I think with any of these platforms, it's figuring out what makes the most sense for you as a brand, and also making sure that you're not like diluting what you're already doing. I know you mentioned obviously doing consistency is key. Do you feel like there's some platforms, I guess, where you're not spending as much attention and you're just kind of putting it on autopilot, maybe posting like every week or so to keep it active, or are you just kind of leaving that for now, for example, with TikTok, and then you'll pick it up when you're ready?
So TikTok, I do like still put out. I used to post every day, multiple times a day, which is a lot. But again, I'm one person. I was, in product development for so long, and it's like, okay, I don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to do this right now. And like I said before, I was reaching not really anyone who could purchase my product. So I do post probably like once a week on there, maybe twice a week, just to kind of like keep it going. But once we have product and we're selling and we're kind of out of this phase and it's
Yeah.
off to the races, I'm going to be posting. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And for yourself, what are some of the tools that you couldn't live without for your content creation and posting and things like that are an absolute must for you at the moment?
So, like, I mean, with TikTok, I use CapCut. Like, they have templates and stuff in there. Hootsuite's really helpful for scheduling all content on multiple platforms. And you can look at all of the analytics and data, and it also recommends good times for you to post your content based off of your followers' activity. So that's one I definitely recommend. And LinkedIn, like I use Shield, which is I mean, I have an affiliate code, but I use Shield and it's plugin. It's a plugin. So basically it looks at all of your analytics. It can also tell you the value of like your content as well. Like if a company were to buy the amount of impressions that you're getting organically, it would tell you the value of like the post you're putting out. So I think there's a lot of value in that. And it also can like show you all of your posts from all time,
Mm.
engagement, low engagement, high engagement. It takes you right to the post and you can repurpose it. And like I love that platform. And then internally, LinkedIn has the scheduling feature now. So every Sunday night, I sit down and I schedule all my posts for the following week. And my non-negotiable this year is to post on LinkedIn once a day. And so far, I've stuck to it. um,
Cool.
yeah, so I would say those are the main tools.
Nice. The other one on LinkedIn that I know we're using at the moment is Taplio.
Okay.
So that's an interesting one as well to check out. Once again, it's similar from the AI aspect to see what's working, but it also can give you ideas as well for different posts. So that's one as well that I think is pretty cool. I know a lot of people are kind of diving into that to look at different ways to kind of leverage what you're already doing from the LinkedIn standpoint.
Mhm. Very cool.
Yeah. So what is next then for you come 2023? We're moving into kind of Q3, Q4. You're mentioning I'm going to be posting on LinkedIn every single day. Is there like a goal that you want to hit, an outcome that you want to hit? Is there anything that we can do to help support that?
Um, I'm here to share all my knowledge. We're doing a lot with the business right now. Like I am in the middle of a raise. We're rolling out our new product into retailers across Canada, and then I am going to be launching a shelf-stable product in the US. So I will be able to sell product to US customers in the next like 6-ish months. So if you want to sign up to our email list, that's great. Whoever's watching, or if anyone is interested in purchasing and they live in the States. But yeah, I guess that's my main goal is to just continue to like build the brand and get the product into hands of people who have been wanting to buy it and couldn't, just based off of me being in Canada and having a refrigerated product.
Yeah. So, and I guess lastly, what advice would you give for people starting out and wanting to kind of move things organically for their brand? Like, what would be your recommendations for someone really getting started and wanting to move the ball forward?
Pick one channel to do really well on at first. And I personally like I TikTok's great and I have a TikTok course and da 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 da. But Instagram is so good and there's so much value there. And again, like because you have the ability to communicate with your customers, like just posting on there regularly, like going on, and again, not everyone's comfortable with this, but going on your Instagram stories, showing up, talking to your customers, asking what they want, making sure you're serving them and focusing on one customer at a time, right? And like if there's someone who engages with your content regularly, it's like sending them a message and saying, "Hey, like I noticed that you engage with my content regularly. Like what do you like about it? Or what do you think I should change about it? Or have you ever purchased my product? Or can I offer you a free 30-minute consultation or a free, I don't know, like give them something because they're engaging. And yeah, I think doing the things that like don't scale at the beginning is key because word of mouth is so powerful. And if you just show that you care about your followers and you're there to build a community, it goes such a long way. And it's gotten me to where I am. And then also like what's very helpful too is more strategic and more tactical, but you can do collaborations with other brands or businesses that have similar followings, and you can kind of leverage each other's followings, right? If you do like a giveaway together or some sort of partnership or something, that's super helpful and valuable. So I guess those are the things that I do.
Brilliant. Well, I'm really excited to see how the journey unfolds in the next kind of 6 months to a year. And I know we were kind of chatting just before the live, so I'm super excited to see how it all unfolds. For everyone listening, if you're not already, do make sure to follow Erica. If you're going to sign up to Shield, make sure to use her referral code. And if you're not already, make sure to check her out on LinkedIn and Instagram as kind of the primary sources, so you can see some content and actually see it in action, and see what you can do to model to really add value to your communities too. All right, guys, we're going to close it there. Thank you very much for joining.